Joining us live from Basel in Switzerland is the CEO of Roche, Severin Schwan. Severin, help us understand a little bit more the message you're giving us here. Just how surprised were you by the positivity versus your previous estimates for the business?
Clearly, we had a very strong third quarter again, and actually the demand for our newly launched medicines is even stronger than we would have thought at the beginning of the year, and that's entirely driven by the level of differentiation, the benefits we bring to patients in severe diseases like multiple sclerosis, hemophilia, or cancer. So very pleased about the results.
Is the European situation different? It looks like from the first 9 months, sales are down 1% in Europe as biosimilars hurt Herceptin and Rituxan and your new guard of drugs not making up for those lost sales. Is Europe a special case, or can we expect the U.S. to start looking like that as well as these biosimilars gain traction?
Sales development in Europe is actually very positive as far as the new medicines are concerned, and we had an earlier impact of biosimilars, but we will see this now turn as the new medicines get additional traction. Now, in the United States, we will have a significant impact of biosimilars for the coming year, but on balance, driven by this strong demand for our new medicines, we are confident that we will grow our business beyond this year.
Let me ask you a little bit about the deal with Spark Therapeutics then, Severin, because I know you've recommitted to the timetable to get the deal done by the end of this year, but that leaves you only 2.5 months to get clearance from regulators and to reach a conclusion. How long will it take you to wrap things up after you get regulatory clearance?
We actually are confident that we can close the transaction still this year. I wouldn't be able to comment on any specifics regarding the ongoing process by the regulatory authorities, but indeed we are confident to close the transaction this year.
You're confident to close the transaction, but can you give us any insight as to what's holding things up? I mean, you've reported strong performance in your haemophilia business for Hemlibra. Is the strong performance there, is that actually counting against you because maybe it gives regulators pause for reasons for concern?
Again, I wouldn't be able to give you more specific comments, more color on the ongoing process. But bottom line is we are confident that we will close the transaction by the end of this year.
I'm sure investors are looking for a little bit more transparency here, Severin, as far as what regulators want from you. Can you tell us at least if UK and US regulators have the same issues?
I wouldn't be able to give you any more details. I'm sorry.
Because anything that you say here is public information and therefore shared with all investors. You can share anything that's important to your business. When do you expect regulatory clearance?
Again, we are confident that we close the transaction by the end of this year. And that also means, of course, that we have regulatory clearance by end of this year.
Okay, there have been reports that the US might be considering imposing tariffs to counter a trade deficit with Switzerland on Swiss medicines. Is this something that you're thinking about at Roche?
Actually, if you look at it from a Roche perspective, we have important operations in Switzerland, but we have most of our activities in terms of research and development, in terms of investments across the whole value chain in the United States. We have more than twice as many people employed in the United States than in Switzerland. So actually, we are a net exporter of pharmaceuticals as far as the United States is concerned.
Are you concerned about, Severin, in the U.S. Attempts to control pricing there, attempts to put ceilings on prices for drugs, or have you got it pretty much worked out with the suppliers?
As far as Roche is concerned, we are very much focused on highly innovative, highly differentiated medicines. Experience shows, and I'm confident for the future, that in particular in the United States, this is a country where innovation is appreciated and will be rewarded in the future as well. From my perspective, the key issue in the United States are the high out-of-pocket payments consumers and patients have. And I think there is a need for reform, and we should really work together to reduce the out-of-pocket expenses, which are relatively high in the United States, to a degree where certain patients simply cannot afford it anymore.